Alright. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Salt Mines, where we delve into the salty journey of playing the world's most competitive real-time strategy game. In the top right, we've got F-Hater, the Red Zerg player, up against Pad, the Protoss player. In the bottom left, going for a very early probe out on the map. Ooh, okay, Pad's up to something. A cheeky little boy here. We've got Wally the probe. I'm going to call him Golly. Golly the probe there, not Wally. They kind of look like Wally a little bit. I guess I've forgotten what Wally looks like. I watched that movie a long time ago. He's going to hang out here and stare at this little bit of grass sticking out of the snow. He's like, how does that even grow here in the snow? What a hardy plant. How impressive that is. And meanwhile, he's going for the famous double pylon on 14 opening into a forge. Oh my, guys. I think we're watching some true specimens. Meanwhile, it's 15 pool, 15 gas here. Yeah, that's a very early spawning pool. Interesting. Let's check the APM tab. Yep, as expected, guys, this is a sub-Gold League game. That's right. This has to be, I would say, max 2200 MMR on the ladder. Maybe, maximum 2400. We'll see. But definitely, this is going to be some true Bronze League heroes today. That's what we're looking at. Pad chrono boosts probes up to 17 probes and then promptly stops building workers and starts cannoning off the base. Oh, God. Oh god, this is my greatest thing, because I would say, actually, I'd love to hear YouTube comments. I'd like to hear all of your thoughts on this. How many players do you think never get past this point as a real-time strategy player, where their first inclination, and we've all done this, especially as kids, even experienced players, playing Brood War campaign, what do? You build cannons, or sunken colonies, or bunkers, get a siege tank, you turtle up, right? And then you go straight for upgrades, really fast engineering bay, or shield upgrades if you're Protoss, and then you very slowly expand, right? While making like one of each unit. That is the classic noob RTS mentality, right? Where you're like, well, one time a guy came and killed me at some time in the first 8 minutes of the game. I didn't even check when it happened. So because of that, I am now eternally paranoid, and I basically just build defense super early in the game and wall myself in with static defense. Even though my opponent could just be taking 3 bases. They could be doing the greediest build of all time. And this is literally a losing strategy, because building cannons on one base is the equivalent of basically quivering in fear and hiding in your foxhole. The enemy can fortify their position, they could charge over the top of you and run past and breach your line, or they can simply, chuck a grenade in your foxhole and eventually take you out. It's not a winning strategy. Just sitting there, it's not a very good one. These 3 cannons down here, I mean, you guys have heard me talk about Silver League cannons. This almost feels like a joke. This is the most ridiculous example of Silver League cannons ever. For those who don't know, this is the edge of the map. I'm trying to scroll to the bottom left. I can't. The game won't let me. Do you know why? Because it's the edge of the map. Why are you building cannons on the edge of the map? What is wrong with you? The greatest thing is, whenever I complain about this, there's always people like, oh, but what if a harassment unit comes around the back? And I'm like, put one cannon there. And they're like, oh, but then couldn't they technically bring in a unit and sit it here? And you're like, yeah, pull a few probes away and then build something that can actually move and shoot, or build an extra cannon if you need to. Don't blindly build 3 cannons back here. You know what? Is this 8 cannons? 8 cannons. Why is there one on the ledge? This makes no sense. It's like, oh, one game a guy jumped a Reaper in, so now I always build a cannon here. You're playing a Zerg. He can't jump up cliffs. Why would you build it here? It makes no sense. I'll stop screaming. But just to finish that point, check this out, guys. So imagine Mutalisks fly in. They fly here. They fly here. They fly into the mineral line, and they hold position here. They can kill every single probe in the entire economy without getting hit by a single cannon. 8 photon cannons that don't even defend the one base economy. This is the worst opening of all time. On the other side of things, let's evaluate F-Hater. F-Hater's going Roach Warren 3 gas, has an insanely fast lair already finished, is building some Zerglings right now. Fair enough. I mean, has way more workers. Comparatively, F-Hater is a macro god, almost at double the workers already. Has an Overlord outside the base, he's going to go for an Overseer Scout. He's like, hey, you're on one base, what are you doing? Has a few Zerglings out here. I mean, F-Hater is going through the motions of a higher level player doing a more normal play. He's going to scout, double Stargate going down as well. So F-Hater's like trying to play a proper game. You can tell F-Hater's watched high level players and has an idea of like, okay, you're meant to expand and macro up. Look at that, a 3rd base goes down. Wow. Has changed rally points. Actually, let's check control groups. Has the army on a control group as well as the hatcheries on a control group. He's going to add a Spore Crawler in the natural there as well. Meanwhile, let's check the control groups of Pad. I'm sure there is not a single control group. I doubt even for Nexus. Let's check. Yeah, not even a control group for the Nexus. So this is a player who's probably not using their keyboard at all. Is probably clicking on the command card in the bottom right. You see how when I select a Zerg unit, you immediately see these control groups pop up over here? Protoss? Nothing. Nothing at all. So no control groups whatsoever, which means that Pad is someone who's, I think, just opened the game, maybe playing on a touchpad and is just kind of figuring things out as they go. Very regularly hitting 0 APM, an average of 30. Meanwhile, F-Hater is kind of dilly-dallying a bit here. You can see the money is starting to float, but the injects have overall been pretty good. There's not that much lava floating. 42 workers versus 24 is a very good number as the Zerg. The problem is, only building roaches plus roach speed right now up against a player who is going air. And you can see, I mean, the obvious response here would be just drop a Hydra den, mix some Hydras in, so if there are some Void Rays, you can kill them with Roach Hydra, rather than just pure Roach. But it looks like F8 is just going mass Ling at the start into heavy Roach, is building a few more Queens, which can help defend the air units. The problem you're going to run into is, of course, they can't really move across the map to attack. Now, the problem Pad's running into is the fact that their strategy is atrocious. So they've literally just got a giant spready of cannons. They've added 2 batteries, they're up to 12 cannons on one base. Has not built a single air unit. Are they going straight carrier? Is this straight carrier? Pad, by the way, has a probe in the top left and the bottom right, and he's planning to just go double corner base. It's like, okay, I'm just get a cannon here, never move out, and then take a corner base. So Pad has actually played this enough to realize, well, I always get killed trying to take my expansion. Cannons, as static defense, they don't help me expand at all. So I'll just have to expand in secret and then very slowly take up. But man, only 16 workers on minerals. If you, in this scenario, you'd want to be massively oversaturating so you could recall probes. If this base has to build probes on its own to saturate, it is going to take minutes on end. And a Tempest starts up. What the hell? Tempest are one of the most technical long-range sniper units. And now he's building a Robo. You still haven't built any units. This is the first fighting unit in production at the 7-minute mark. F8 is like, I'm just going to attack with Roach Speed and a pack of Banes. Banes are really good at blowing up clumped up structures. You know, if you detonate like there or right here, you can hit multiple things and blow them up. Hydroden is on the way behind it. 49 workers, some of those up on the third. But it looks like F8 is going to go for an attack. And I mean, I got to say, attacking into a one-base player is a pretty bad idea normally, but there's no support. There's nothing but cannons and batteries, and it is a lot of Zerg. They might be able to just bust through. He's taking down the pylons. Oh, 2 pylons go down. It depowers almost all the cannons and batteries, and the banelings going after the probes. The probes turn around and stack up on the banelings. Atrocious micro from Pad, just panic clicking the probes back and forth. If they just left the probes mining, it actually would have been better. That was literally negative micro. A single Tempest comes out and starts attacking the roaches. But that's basically game-ending damage. I mean, the roaches could just keep attacking and win the game there. They're going to run away from one Tempest for some reason. Phil's de Pute. Okay, wait. Bastard Russia. Oh my god, guys. Dot did attach some Google Translate. So Phil's de Pute is, or Phil's de Pute, I don't know. Son of a bitch. Okay, so son of a bitch. You bastard Russia. I love it. I love it, man. That's hilarious. 8 minutes is not a rush, says F-Hater, which is absolutely true. 8 minutes is, you know, I would be very critical of that timing. Whoa! Pad got a copy pasta ready there. Didn't just, you can tell Pad is an experienced rager. Didn't just hit enter, copy pasted it, copied it, then hit enter, then copy paste. Dad and mother, suck dick. Trump and Putin bastard. Russia, no gameplay. 5 times. That is amazing. Now, what's glorious about it? So Pat is saying, well, your mom and dad, they sucked Trump's dick, and they had poutine afterwards. You're a bastard who rushes and has no gameplay. So I think he's trying to say there's an association, basically, after finding out your mum did a bit of a pleasure party on Trump's crotch, and then ate poutine with him afterwards, that they were so embarrassed they did it. I think they just said, you love Hitler as well? I kind of missed that because they started spamming dick and mother suck dick. Dad and mother suck dick, Trump and Putin, bastard Russia, no gameplay. And they're like, do you want to rush in the next game? I can play you again and do a real rush, says F8. Pad responds with Pavriri Murde, which means poor shit. Phil's de Poot, Densule Deta Race. Wait, what's this? Son of a fucked bitch of your breed. Oh! He's the son of a fucked bitch that's also of the same breed as him, which I gotta say I find very unsurprising, because honestly, if someone if I'm pretty sure my mum is the same breed as me, and I think that's always the case for all species, isn't it? If anyone knows a biological exception to that rule, let me know. Maybe Pad's just stating facts is like, you're a person that is human. That's how that one kind of rolls off the tongue for me. In the middle, was it a Hitler comment? Let's go back and catch that one. I'm rewinding a little bit here, guys. All right, let's, what was it? Dad and mother suck dick, trumpet between man. Literally 3 bases macro, says F Hater. 8 minutes attack, that's not a rush. Go suck dick Hilter. Okay, so he's saying Hilter to get around the censorship built into the game. That makes sense. So guys, is he saying you should go suck Hitler's dick, or or the other way around? Is it where it's because what was it? What's the exact word again? Go suck dick. Is he calling F Hater Hitler, or is he saying you should suck Hitler's dick? Either way, I'm very curious to find out YouTube comments, analysis on who's doing the sucking in this scenario. I still think this is not that bad. I really think it would be much more disrespectful if they didn't go and eat poutine after pleasuring, having a pleasure party on Trump. I don't think that's so bad, It's like, hey, it's a non-standard relationship, but is that really so bad? It's 2022. Like, who really cares? I feel like Pad's gone for some very thought-provoking rage in this game. Really bringing out some interesting one. Obviously angry that the opponent rushed, which, can you believe it? A player who builds cannons behind their mineral line thinks attacking at 8 minutes is a rush. The player who literally has 1 unit out 9 minutes into the game thinks literally any attack is a rush. I gotta say, flabbergasted, guys. 20 years of growing up playing in internet cafes against random noobs in RTS games definitely didn't prepare me for this one. I'm pretty sure Pad is my buddy in high school. My buddies, who I 2v1'd in Warcraft 3, and then as I was beating them, they ran over and unplugged my computer and said, "Ha, we beat you!" And they ran off with their fingers in their ears because they didn't want to admit defeat. So, good to see you guys are still playing RTS games even today. Well done. All right, into the next game. We've got Danny DeVito in the top right. What's up? My favorite character from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. My favorite actor on that show. Still so bloody random that he joined that. What a career that man has had. Down here in the bottom left, Pack. The PvP this time around. I'm still thinking about that last game before we talk more about Danny DeVito and his fantastic acting career from, Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger all the way through to Always Sunny. But that last game, I like the idea that an angry French player's biggest insult is like, it's not even, I feel like the real insult wasn't your parents suck drumstick. I think it was a lot more, you guys ate poutine after because you're classless pieces of crap. I think for French people, they look at French Canadians as the bogans of the French-speaking community in the world, right? They're like, those who know a bogan, you can kind of say it's kind of like a redneck, I guess is the best analogy we usually have in Australia. They're usually pretty crass, not the most cultured people, some would say. There's a lot of pretty badass bogans out. There's pretty cool bogans, but then there's the ones who are just like really like, ooh, they're a little bit hard on your ears when you hear them speak. They're a little bit culturally abrasive, some would say, a bit aggressive, that sort of thing. So yeah, I feel like for them, they're like, look, poutine is the food of the French-speaking bogans. They are the classless French. They speak with that weird French Canadian accent, the Quebecois. They're like, So I like that a French guy brings that elitism out into his rage as well. At first, I thought he was like, go Trump, but it clearly was like, I think he was saying the worst thing you could do is want to fillet Trump, which is an interesting one. It was yeah, do that, eat poutine, and also the fact that your mother is the same breed as you, and that, obviously the wording was kind of crass. It was like, you're the child of a fucked mother bitch or whatever of the same breed. Obviously, Google Translate might not be accurate, but I feel like biologically that's the only way a human is born, is if the mum has sex, gets fucked, and then has a baby, right? Like, it's not just me. That's kind of just how it works, isn't it? Why are you here, noob? Pack sees the probe rotating around his base, is already freaked out. This is the worst opening of all time. 900 minerals, 400 gas. No scouting, no idea what's going on. And yet again, I think we're down in the gutter leagues today, watching players who just haven't figured out how to play StarCraft. These are players who need to go watch Bronze to GM. And actually, there was a note on my pack of these replays. There was something about Bronze to GM. So apparently, what did it say? Hold on a sec, because I've never watched these replays beforehand, but I always get a bit of info from my lovely wife who helps look through all you guys' salty, crazy replays you send her. Yeah, okay, so apparently part of the theme of today's show is that people... Okay, yeah. The people were playing Bronze to GM. And we can see in that last game, it must have been the Zerg who was trying to play Bronze to GM. It was a reasonable approximation. And this time it's Danny DeVito who's playing. And you know what? Danny DeVito's expanding, chronoing probes, walling off, making an early robo, making Immortal Stalker. Meanwhile, Pack is just massing cannons at the front of the natural. If you're going to do this, why wouldn't you just build a wall off with a forge? You know what's so great about this as well, guys? That is the Artosis pylon of all pylons. If you kill that, they're all depowered. This is the worst positioning ever. That pylon could be back here, powering all those cannons, and it's actually protected. But the pylon at the front, oh my god, if like 2 Immortals walk in, they could just click that pylon and kill it before the cannons kill anything. 2 gateways only now start. Oh, this is a horrendous opening. So there's 2 main things you guys want to do in StarCraft. It's either attack or macro hard. You never really want to do one of them. And people will be like, but what about turtling? The only time, turtling's basically just playing bad StarCraft, right? Like, unless you are combining that very turtly defensive play with macroing really, really hard. If you're doing that, then it can become okay. But if you're just sitting there on one base, taking a slower expansion and massing cannons, the thing is none of this can ever be converted to defend a 3rd base. So your opponent can counter you just by taking a 3rd and a 4th, and you're like, oh, damn. And then you try to take your 3rd, and they're on 4 base, and they kill your 3rd. Because they have units on the map, and you don't. And that's why this is such a bad way of playing it. Yet, I love it, because both of these Protoss players we've seen in these games today have been perfect examples of what I call the random queue 2v2 ladder Protoss, right? If you guys ever played random queue team games at a lower rank, your Protoss teammates... It's not all of them. Maybe it's only half, but it's enough that it's like, it's such a strongly predictable stereotype. You will be like, okay, we're in separate bases. We both need to build an army early and join up so we can go and attack the opponent. Otherwise, they're going to rush one of us, isolate them, and win. And your ally's like, can't do that, buddy. You look over, he's walled himself in with cannons, and he's starting to go like carriers. And he's like, you hang on for the next 10 minutes on your own, and then I'll have 4 carriers out. And you're like, but they're both of them are rushing me. I'm going to die in the first 4 minutes. And he's like, just defend. And you're like, I'm Zerg. I don't have siege tanks and a wall. There is literally no way for me to 1v2 these guys. And the Protoss player will just be like, tough titties, man. We don't get a shared base. I'm literally a worthless team game player. And you're like, oh my god, seriously, dude? I'm saying this because I was just playing some team games with a buddy just before I started casting today. So it's fresh in my mind. We're playing people, and I was like, one of them's cannoning himself in. We've got noobs. 10 gates on the way, so it looks like a 10-gate charge Immortal all-in. Has forgotten to start the Warp Prism. That's the next thing that really needs to start. There we go. But is up, what, 35 probes, 2 bases. So it's going to be a big charge lot Immortal all-in. Templar Archives did get made, which is not... It's okay. On just 2 gases, it's maybe not the most necessary. Pack is now building Silver League cannons! Silver League cannons! Yes! Alright, Pack showing their pedigree as a player, while massing slow zealots off 2 gateways and starting a Stargate 6 minutes into the game. I mean, this is a good chunk of cannons, and there is at least 1 backup pylon, but even with battery overcharge, dude, Zealot Immortal will just clean through that, because Danny DeVito simply got this expansion full of workers so much quicker, and he's going to be able to warp in so many zealots. Now, Danny DeVito, being so slow to take these gases, hasn't remembered the pylon explosion, so he's going to put on gases, start making Archons, and then hit a supply block without being able to really continue the attack. So normally after your gateway and then Warp Prism explosion, you need to build like 5 pylons. Danny DeVito's forgotten that right now. What's he up to? Danny! What are you doing, Danny? Danny, what are you clicking on right now? Okay, he's gonna make an observer. I always like watching low-level play because you can tell when the players are stopping to think and consider their next move, because like they just don't do anything for like 10 seconds. To me, this is the most alien thing, because like, you know, you guys have watched me play. It's like, there's so much just not having to think about. I'm just clicking things. I'm building stuff. I'm scouting. I'm doing things. I'm going through the motions without having to think about it. It's so deeply trained into me. And yet another player just tried to rush Sky Toss with 0 scouting. It's 7 minutes in the game. You've only got 6 zealots. You haven't even, you're trying to go 4 Stargate. Oh, which makes sense because you've already banked 1,600 gas because you went for your bloody gas so early. Oh my god. Meanwhile, Robo Bay's on the way. So Danny DeVito should be going for that attack, but is rather than using the production, is dilly-dallying right now, going for a Robo Bay. God knows why. Maybe they want disruptors to break this down. Go, Danny! Go win the game! Go win the game! Danny's done the classic build up to a big army and then not commit. He did a pretty good job, Danny DeVito here, of playing Bronze to GM, but is now just like probing up, which should have been finished. You should have been at 44 probes probably by about 5:30, I would say at the latest. 3 carriers are starting up, which is a huge problem. 4 carriers. If those carriers get out, like Danny's just giving him so much time. Really needs to just warp in more Zealots, Archons, and just go. Archons can be at carriers if you get enough of them with like Guardian Shield and Plasma Shield upgrades on to help them tank, and the Archons will kill all the Interceptors. But right now, it's all about the urgency of getting in there. Danny DeVito floating a lot of money. Are we going to see Archons here? It looks like we are. Come on, Daddy! Archons! I mean, I wouldn't mind Zealots and just going, honestly, because urgency is really what it's all about. Those carriers are 25 seconds from finishing. It's a big problem. Second, Cybercore's on the way for Pack. Hasn't started upgrades on the first one, but is already building a second one and Plasma Shields. I mean, Pack is actually getting the upgrades to make this into a decent army. This is a much better player than the last game. Unfortunately for them, Danny DeVito's attack is going to be coming in pre-9 minutes. It's a bit of a late attack. This could have hit 2 or 3 minutes ago, but he's going to move right up. And look at that. Artosis goes down. Tasteless still powering in the back. He's going to walk right past the cannons. A bit of a weird choice there. Definitely could have just overwhelmed those, but it is what it is. The Archons going forward. The Archons and the Stalkers, the carriers have just popped, so they don't have many Interceptors, and the Interceptors are actually getting killed. Right now, look at that. There's only 8 Interceptors out, so they have very little firepower. The Archon Stalker Immortal is on top. Needs to get on top of these probes as well. A Mothership's about to pop! Can you believe it? Is there an observer? There's an observer, but it's sieged up back here. Stalkers are now warping in. I actually feel like more Zealots and just getting in on the economy is the most important thing. The Silver League cannons may defend the main, but the natural has been absolutely ransacked. The carriers trying to gather up those numbers. Plasma Shields will be kicking in soon, but the natural will get cleared out. You rushing bitch, says Pack. How dare you attack me 9 minutes into the game? This was a very late 2-base timing. It was a 2-base full worker attack. Danny DeVito had way more economy. If your opponent has more economy than you and kills you with an attack and you call it a rush, guys, you ever rewind a replay and see that? That is the big alarm bell that should tell you you played like shit that game. Oh! Fuck off, says Pack. I'm on a low sodium diet. Could you keep the salt to a minimum? Danny DeVito there watching his heart health. Good to see. He is, of course, a chunkier lad, and you've got to be careful with that, especially as you get older. I, you know, personally, have got to watch my cholesterol a little bit. Keeps getting borderline because I enjoy eating large amounts of saturated fats and junk food while sitting in a gaming chair all day. It's part of my whole lifestyle choice. What can I say? Mothership carrier coming down to the natural. The Zealots are here. I mean, the Zealots could honestly just run past and keep killing the whole economy. I love that Immortal's still in the main base, just wrecking stuff. But you know what? Danny DeVito has not taken a 3rd or a 4th and is kind of just hanging out here, running back and forwards, a bit like a headless chookin. Chookin? A headless chook, I was going to say. And then I got confused and tried to say chicken. No, it's a headless chookin. A chooka, as they say. Meanwhile, do we have a 3rd? He's going to try and build cannons in the main. Oh, no, that's not... No, that's not how you do it. Be funny if these cannons actually win the game. He's going to try and mass cannon battery here. And you fucking suck, says Pack. Pack, I like that it's all caps. There has been no subtlety. Pack's raging. I feel like Pack literally bought the introductory course to being a child on the internet. He's like, you're wrong. Yeah, it's, you know, it's like when your uncle first gets on Facebook and finds out, he finds some politics group that he disagrees with and he's just sharing posts from there and he's like, yeah, can you believe they want to take away our freedom of the thing and blah, and like, you're like, what are you even talking about? I'm like, he's like, you see this news story, they want to take our kids away and teach them kendo, and you're like, what? Kendo? Like the Japanese one with the sticks, like where they pretend they're fighting with swords? He's like, yeah, it's against our cultural heritage. You're like, I have no idea what's going on, but I don't think it's based in reality. I think Pack has definitely brought out that level of discourse so far. 4 Stalkers run forward and they tickle the Mothership. This is not good, man. The cannons are starting to kill the Interceptors slowly, but Stalkers are not the unit you want. You could tell that Danny DeVito here is just warping Stalkers in a few at a time. He's clicking on the Mothership. Oh, this is so painful. Hasn't brought an Observer back yet. There's 4 Observers over there. Oh, no, this is a disaster of a game. He's going to send the Immortals off for a base trade. If Danny just kept making Zealots and just A-moving through, or even waited to the side, waited for the carriers to move out, could have done it. I think Void Rays would have been the easiest counter, or Stalkers with Blink could have worked if you got enough of them. But Danny massing the cannons, you can see most of these cannons aren't really fighting. So even though the Interceptor count is getting lowered a little bit here, it kind of relies on the Protoss player just not targeting the cannons, and as soon as Pack does that, he can just bust through. The Stalkers are getting hammered. Stalkers are so bad versus Interceptors, it's not even funny. They are doing next to nothing. The two Immortals are like, well, maybe we can win. And they're just going to aim it. I mean, there's nothing at home. Maybe they kill the base if Pack doesn't just let the carriers rally out and kill them. But it looks like Danny's going to lose. I wonder if Danny rages back here. I mean, Danny trying a bit of bronze to GM and just having no idea how to deal with the carriers coming out. I mean, the real answer in this game was obviously just attack earlier rather than dilly-dallying so long. But in the follow-up to that, I mean, Mass Blink Stalkers could have done it, massing Blink Stalker Archon and doing more of an A move. Like, if you go Archons, it's about A moving and killing the Interceptors, right? Oh, one of the Stargates died just before the carriers. But if you're going Stalkers, you want to just blink in and just target the mothership and then target the carriers down. But you need to have committed to that the moment you saw the carriers rather than spend all your money on like 15 cannons. The carrier comes out. There is enough Stalkers to take it down though. Daddy DeVito's chasing it. The carriers, oh, he could have flown behind the cannons and survived, but I think the Stalkers are going to get that one. Good target fire by Danny DeVito. Unfortunately, Danny DeVito's lost his production. But Mothership flying into cannon range. These carriers are all attacking different targets right now. So the cannon actually could do some pretty good damage to the Mothership potentially. But looks like they're still just fighting Interceptors for now. Dude, you got to be careful. You're going to lose your economy at home. Oh, actually, Pack has unlimited money to rebuild Interceptors. Pack should win this game. Absolutely. There's no way Pack can lose because he's got enough money to rebuild about 200 Interceptors. So he could just focus the cannons down. But right now, Pack is still not focusing on anything. Only has 19 Interceptors, and they are taking their time along with this Mothership to take these cannons and Stalkers down. But Danny DeVito is relying on mass cannon. Wait. Did he not hide a probe? Oh, Pack didn't pull a probe. Pack literally didn't micro at all and didn't run a probe away, so he can't even base trade. These are his last buildings. Pack's going to lose the game. Oh, man. Wow. Pack is on 0 APM for a long time now, is not really targeting or prioritizing getting over here and gunning the cannons down. Could have easily got in and focused these down, but there's going to be about 15 cannons. Pack says noob, knowing he's about to lose. Danny DeVito just throws the GG out, throwing a bit of respect against a player who doesn't deserve it. Pack says loser! All caps, and we can see, guys, players who don't understand StarCraft are pretty angry about it. And I understand. I gotta say, it makes sense. Because you know what, guys? If your opponent attacks you at 9 minutes, I mean, that's just unfair. We all know what we grew up with, 10-minute no rush. And if someone broke that rule, it was a criminal offense. You know, they got put in prison. You were like, oh yeah, he's a cheater, man. He attacked before 10 minutes. This is 8 minutes 50. This is literally against the rules. Disgusting. Of course, what I love about it is if Pack literally just had a wall of Gateway Forge and then had the cannon battery behind it, could defeat this entire army. But Pack's building placement with a strategy that relies on building placement to survive is just so incredibly bad. It's like, why wouldn't you just build the Forge and the Gateway in the wall, put cannons behind it? You'd win this game. But no. You attacked me at 9 minutes. You are a disgusting cheeser. I can't believe you didn't give me time to get my +1 plasma shield upgrade, because that and the Mothership, definitely the priority. You rushing bitch. It's amazing, because remember, guys, look at Pack's vision. Pack didn't move out on the map at all, and that's exactly it. Essentially, I always like to leave our Salt Mines episodes with a bit of a lesson. And I think the lesson here is if you're afraid to interact with your opponent, and from the very start you're walling off with cannons, you're building them on the edge of the map to guard from the edge of the map, you've literally spent so little time venturing on the map, you haven't yet evolved to the level of play yet where you realize attacks can't come off the edge of the map. I know in the campaign they can sometimes, an army comes off the side of the map. Doesn't happen in a ladder game. That's not how 1v1 works. They can only come from their side of the map. People say, but they could fly around. Sure, if you really want, you could build a cannon here on the edge. You could build a cannon down here on the edge so they can't fly fast. But building them here is the literal lowest value. And it just shows that if you're too afraid, if you play a game like StarCraft, your response to adversity, to getting rushed, needs to be getting out on the map again and trying harder, trying faster, being aggressive. The moment you're sitting in your corner, cowering behind cannons and batteries, not interacting, you have no game sense. Everything is unfair. Everything is a cheese because it's impossible to understand anything that comes your way. You can't possibly understand it because you don't... Every game, your opponent is a void. So you don't know the difference between a 1-base all-in, a 2-base attack, a 3-base attack. You don't know. A guy who proxied 4 gates outside. So you're trying to defend every single possibility for for every matchup with no scouting or interaction with your opponent. And I'll tell you what, StarCraft is ridiculously unfair if you don't gather any information, because what you're doing is you're trying to find a build that's good versus everything, and that simply does not exist because it's a strategy game, where if you're playing very safe early, you're nowhere near as good in the long game. If you're playing super, super greedy for the long game, you're really vulnerable to the early game. That's why you need even just a tiny modicum of scouting. Like, did you expand? Did you take a third base? Are you making mass flying units? And let's take a look. I think Danny DeVito scouted these things, right? Let's go back. At 6 minutes, Danny DeVito's seeing the cannons, seeing the forge wall off, has scouted things, sends an observer across and gets it outside the base. That's playing StarCraft. Unfortunately, Pack, I don't know if this would... I'm sure some people would be like, technically it is playing StarCraft. In my mind, this isn't playing StarCraft, guys. This is playing Scaredcraft. And you're going to stay angry if you play Scaredcraft. Be brave, get out there. And when you encounter sad people like Pack here, send me the replays! Send me the replays of their weird, outlandish complaints. And remember, guys, any attack that comes when you weren't expecting it, weren't ready for it, or that catches you off guard, it is definitely a cheese. Thanks for watching, everybody. Click on some of the other games on screen if you want to watch some of the other salty people out there on the ladder. And we will catch you in the next episode. Goodbye and good night.